Hey everybody, Joy here. It's Sunday afternoon, December 8, 2019. And you can see I'm wearing my new top. I did some other changes to this top, just some simple ones I'm going to show you. But I wanted to show to you the whole thing on. I didn't wear it the other day because for some reason, I don't know why, I don't remember. But anyway, I've had it done. But let me show you the pattern that I'm talking about, okay? It's Silhouette, number 418 Fisher's pleated blouse. Now, this blouse would look nicer if I had used a drapier woven. This is a woven, it's just a cotton from Hobby Lobby. But if I had used a drapier fabric, it would look a lot prettier hanging down on this pleat, I think. And as usual, when I got through with the sleeves, you saw the sleeve in my last video, it was gigantic. I have these little arms, skinny arms, the only thing left on me that's skinny. And my neck. And they make the sleeves so big around. All you need in a sleeve is 2 inches. If you can pinch your sleeve and you've got 2 inches, you have enough to be able to move your arm. So the sleeves were they were hanging way down here. I didn't like them. I felt like a bat, like the flying nun. So I did my usual treatment. Now, I don't know if this is somebody else's treatment too, but if it is, they came up with it and I came up with it, okay? It's just a simple pleat, but it takes the fullness out of the sleeve and puts a pleat in it, okay? So I took some little still shots while I was doing it to show you how to do it. Super simple. So I'll just put the little shots. I don't know how many there are, maybe 5 or 6. So this will just be pictures in a row, okay? Showing you what I did to take the fullness of the sleeve in. I'll put them right here. Here I have the sleeve folded on the seam line and pressed on the fold on the other side of the sleeve. I've got my ruler 2 inches up from the hem, 1 inch over from the fold, and I'm going to draw a line to sew on. Here you can see I have taken my heat removable friction pen and marked where I'm going to sew this pleat into the sleeve. Here you can see where I've taken it to the sewing machine and I have stitched the line that I drew for the pleat to be 2 inches up, 1 inch over. Scissors work well to put up inside the pleat to stretch it apart flat, and you need half on each side of that seam line. I'm holding it up so you have a better view of the little pleat spread apart and pressed flat. Here I've got the sleeve over the open arm of my sewing machine, sewing the hem stitch back in. And here's the last picture showing it all done. You can see I've pressed it about halfway up the sleeve edge. Okay. Let me roll this camera up now that you've seen my top. You can see the bottom. See, I took tucks in the back. The waist darts are in the back, not tucks or waist darts. It's kind of curved at the bottom, so a narrow hem. I like the blouse, Jerry likes the blouse. But if I make it again, it will be in a drapier fabric. Okay, so here's the sleeve. I measured how big the bottom of the sleeve would be. If I left it the way it was, it would be this big, that big on my arm. So you can see how much bigger it is, I hope, than what I need. Now some people like their sleeves big like that, but I don't. So I took 2 inches out of it with this pleat thing. I'm going to measure my arm and tell you how big it is. That was 16 inches. My arm is 10.5 inches. My arm's 10.5 inches. The pattern allows for a 16-inch opening. Okay? So, say my arm was 11. That's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's 5 inches of ease. More than that, because I went from 11-inch arm and mine's 10.5. Okay? I don't like 5 inches ease in my sleeve. And you only need 2. Okay? Alrighty. So, that's all I have to say about this blouse, except for one other thing. You know, there's some die-hard Peggy fans out there. Some die-hard Peggy fans, and I'm a die-hard Peggy fan. I love her. I've been watching her since she was a teenager, for heaven's sakes. The first time I ever met Peggy, I went to a show they had in Oklahoma City. I was, I don't know, 30. It was in Oklahoma City, and it was a sewing quilting expo type thing in the great big convention center downtown. It was wonderful. I absolutely loved it. But she was there. And she had some classes, and I took some of her classes, and she had a booth. And I went to her booth one day, and she was sitting there. And I was showing her some pants that I had made, because she's into pants, you know, and she's always taking these tucks, darts across the pants, in the front and in the back and in the legs. And so I had drawn these patterns. I had drawn my pants pattern from, let me roll this up. Okay, so here I was. I had already sewn a bunch of stuff in my life at that time. And then I had a body at that time, you know, where you could open up the pattern and sew and it would fit you. But I had made my own pants pattern from, what's her name? Islander, Margaret Islander. She has this system where you just start with a blank piece of paper and you draw your own pants, okay? And I had used that, and I had made these perfect pants. I remember they were yellow. So I went up to her and spoke to her, and she was very nice to me. And I said, I made these pants. And she said, what pattern did you use? And I said, I just made up my own pattern. She said, oh, well, you're very advanced. I said, do you think that they fit me well? And she did her usual thing. And she said, in the back, you could take this tiny tuck across your hip. And so that's all she said. But anyway, she means well. She learned things the way she learned things, okay? She calls it factory methods. Well, Margaret Islander knew factory methods too. And I never disagreed with her on anything. But not just me. My friend Philly, I have another friend named Glenda. The patterns just drive them nuts. Phyllis threw all of hers away. The other lady bought one. She said, oh my God, I looked at the instructions, said this is crazy, threw the whole thing away. So it's not just me. But I respect Peggy enough, and I know her well enough, that I kind of can get around the confusing parts for the most part. But you have to be good enough that you could do it without the instructions in most cases, and that's the truth. So I'll tell you what was wrong with this. You guys asked me, well, how did you go ahead and finish the neckline? I showed you her little thing that she did. It was just a strip of fabric cut on the bias. It was a rectangle. And the ends of it were square, like this measuring tape here. Square, 90-degree angles. Well, this angle right here that you're enclosing is no longer a 90-degree angle. I don't know if it ever was, but it's not a 90-degree angle anymore because of the neck coming up in this curve. So maybe if I had left the collar up here under my ears, maybe then it would have fit. But you can't put a 90-degree angle on a 45-degree angle or whatever it is and just lay it over the top of it and sew it down. It would not have fit right. It would not have looked good. So I used the same piece. I cut it out again. I did not sew the ends on it, and I just left it hanging over here, sewed it all the way around like bias tape, stretched it a little bit as I went, and then I just folded the edge of it over here on the fronts, and then turned it to the back. I don't know if I can show it to you. Maybe you can see it if I get right in the light. You know, I'm looking in this little tiny screen, and usually you guys can see what I'm showing you, but I don't know you can see it till later. So that's the inside where I wrapped it. And then, of course, I just sewed around it all the way around my neck, okay? Okay, guys, pardon the cough drop. I started to tell you about die-hard fans. We've got die-hard Peggy Sagers fans out there.
We've got die-hard Sure-Fit Designs fans out there. God, there's another one. My goodness, people that do Berta patterns. Oh my goodness. I've got a book in the trash over there. It's a Berta magazine I got a couple years ago, and it was supposed to be the USA version of the Berta magazine, and there's a dress in it that I love. But boy, howdy, I went back and looked at those 9,000 million trillion lines. I thought, there's no way I'm ever going to get this traced right. Plus, I couldn't remember if you had to add seam allowances or you didn't have to add seam allowances. So I just threw it away. I thought, I do not want to give myself that big of a headache, okay? So, die-hard fans. The thing about you die-hard fans is you have to understand, I'm not one. I'm a fan, but I'm a fan of everybody's patterns. I love Sure-Fit Designs, but I've made over 100 garments from Sure-Fit Designs. And I'm not the type of person that's going to be, okay, I'm never going to make another pattern the rest of my life. I'm just going to do Sure-Fit Designs. That's not me. I've made some silhouette patterns. I would say they are my least favorite instruction-wise, but the patterns are actually very well fitting. I have made the yoga pants. I made them for my granddaughter Lindy. I've made them for me. They fit like a dream. If I can understand the instructions enough to get something to made, or if I can understand the cutting lines to figure out what size is what, since none of the sizes are marked, and I can get the garment actually finished, I really like them. I really like this. This is Peggy Sager's. Am I going to make every Peggy Sager's design now and never change to another company? No. That's not me. That just isn't me. I make jewelry. I don't buy just one kind of component. I buy all kinds of components from all different companies. I enjoy different ways of doing the same thing. Okay? So please don't hold it against me that I'm not just on one track all the time. That would be my husband. He's Mr. One Track. That's not me. I like to do all different kinds of quilts. Now, I'm kind of real boring and routine about my home. I like every single thing to have a place and nothing to ever move, but that's kind of different. That's just organization. And I can have 20 different companies' patterns. You know how many new companies there are? And these new companies, you want to talk about directions. Hey, you want to know who the queen of directions is? The queen, the best on the planet, is Louise Cutting. Louise Cutting. Her directions are amazing. And she shows you how to do a lot of different steps that other people don't even show you how to do. Mitering corners for one. But her directions are awesome. But her patterns are all humongous. Humongous. I told you about Philly. I have a lot of new followers, so I'll tell you about Philly. Philly and I were going to a sewing quilt expo in Fort Worth one time. It was like one of those 3-day things. We had a hotel. And pardon my cough drop, it's getting real tiny. So, our favorite teacher that we wanted to see there was Louise Cutting. No, I'm telling you wrong. I'm telling you wrong. Am I telling you wrong or am I telling you right? Was it Louise? It wasn't Louise. Who was it? Philly, help me. I know it wasn't Louise. Oh, I know who it was. One of the teachers that we wanted to see there was Cynthia Guffey. Now, Cynthia Guffey, I don't know if she made patterns. I never bought her patterns because she made me look like a slob. I'm a perfectionist, but next to her, I'm a slob. I mean, she was very, very couture. I am not couture. But anyway, she was into fit. She was into fit and making things fit you well. So we took her fitting classes. That's how Philly and I learned how to fit. We took everybody's class. Well, at that seminar, we took Cynthia Guffey's fitting class. So we went into her class and there was this great big long set of tables and the chairs were all around the tables. And Philly was sitting across from me. We were sitting there. And Cynthia got up in front of the class and she said, "How many people here have made your garments?" We all raised our hands that we made our garments. And she said, "You there, I want you to come up here." And she aimed at Philly and had Philly come up in front of the class. Or Philly raised her hand, or she said she wanted to volunteer or something. You know what they do. Anyway, Philly got picked. And she was wearing a garment she had made. And it was Louise Cutting's garment. That's why I'm getting them mixed up. It was Louise Cutting's garment. But we were in a Cynthia Guffey fitting class. So she gets little tiny Philly up there. You know Philly, she comes up to hear me. She gets little tiny Philly up there. And she says, "Raise your arms." And so Philly lifts her arms up. And Louise comes up and she pulls her arm out. And she says, "I can see clear through the other side of your arm and the wall on the other side of the room." I thought, I'm so glad she didn't pick me to go up there. So anyway, loved Cynthia Guffey, would never try to make one of her patterns. She's way too much of a perfectionist. But did learn some things from her, of course. Love Louise Cutting. Her instructions are the best, but her patterns are all tons of ease. If you like tons of ease and look like you're wearing a giant box. And of course she just says, well, just take the fullness out, make a smaller size. And we do. If you want to wear a small and you really wear a large or an extra large, buy a Louise Cutting pattern, you'll wear an extra small. I do. So I'm just wanting to tell you people, you keep saying, why don't you just do shirt fit designs? Why do you keep doing commercial patterns? Why don't you like Peggy Sager's? I like them all. These new companies, there's Love Notions. There's, I can't remember, there's so many of them, you guys, of these independent companies, but several of them have bust sizing in their tops. If you've got bust sizing, I will try your pattern, I promise you. Okay, so I just wanted to say, forgive me, all of you who are super die-hard fans of one particular pattern company. I'm not. So you let me be me, and I'll let you be you. How about that? So, how about that sewing club Mary and I went to on Saturday? Oh my goodness, Jerry just left with my car. We came in my car this time, and he's pulling a trailer with it because he's loading up some cabinets that he wants from our building. And so he's pulling a trailer. And you know, I have that little Honda here, and a Honda can't pull a trailer, so he's always got my car. So anyway, the stuff that I bought the day I was at the club at Be Sew In is in the car, so I can't show it to you. But Be Sew In really is fabulous at how they do these monthly meetings. The people there were just as happy as could be this time. They weren't worn out from a 3-day class that they had just had, and the atmosphere was bright and cheery and happy, and it was sunny, and Mary and I just had a ball. But not only was it just wonderful that way, they had Christmas cookies, and they were the big Christmas cookies. One, they had Santa Clauses and they had reindeers, and I'm not kidding you, they were this big. And of course coffee and hot chocolate and bottled water, and it was just wonderful, and I ate an entire Santa cookie. Oh my goodness, I have got to quit eating sugar. And then my husband informed me the other night I was eating too much salt. I thought, oh dear Lord, no salt, no sugar. What's left in the world that I can enjoy? Water. Oh, isn't water delicious? Anyway, they give you, you never know what they're going to give you, but you go up to the cash register and you have to sign in. Because you have to pay to go to club. And so if you haven't paid for your year, or you haven't gotten a year because you bought a new sewing machine or something, you have to pay. But then they always give you something. So they gave me a free gift of, what do you call it? The cut and tear away, the stuff you put on back of embroidery. You know what I mean? The big sheets that you put on the back of your fabric when you're going to embroider it. It's cut away, tear away, wash away. There's all kinds of names for it. So they gave you a roll of that. It's just a short roll, so you can't do anything very big with it. And then they gave me a 40% off, everybody, a 40% off coupon for Kimberbell. Well, I don't know much about Kimberbell. I'm an embroidery library girl. And years ago when I bought my very first embroidery machine, it was a Bernina 180E. That machine was just one giant headache. I'm sure they've gotten a lot better since then. But at that time, Bernina and Oklahoma Embroidery Supply, OESD, were connected somehow. They're super connected now because Bernina owns them. But Oklahoma Embroidery Supply and Design used to be right down the street from where my house is now. And you used to could go there and take classes. And so every time I would take classes, I would buy all kinds of embroidery designs. Oh, I've got hundreds of them. So I have all kinds of OESD designs, and I have all kinds of online, where you order online designs. So I never heard of Kimberbell. I think maybe I've heard from it from Becky. I think Becky uses some Kimberbell. So I thought, oh, Kimberbell, 40% off, I better go look at that. So I have been wanting to make something. I'm sure you guys have seen it, but it's some new kind of film, plastic, that you can use in your embroidery designs for applique, and you can see through it, and so you can like make roses and then sew this on top of it, and it looks like a vase that the roses or the flowers are in. Well, I've been wanting to do that. So I went over there to the Kimberbell section, and I found two, what are they called? CDs, packages, you know what they are. And I was going to show you one, but I don't really have one. They're in the car. So I found two of them that use that. And you know, ladies are so helpful. There's probably 50 women there. And I'm standing there and I'm looking and I'm thinking, oh, I just thought to make that vase. And so the lady says, here, you're going to need this. So she just hands it to me. And it's the plastic stuff that you make the bottles or the vases out of. So I got that. What else did I buy? I know, oh, rulers. Mary introduced me to Quilter Select rulers. And I was telling Terry about my one ruler I bought last time I was there, and so she wanted me to get her a ruler, and I decided I needed some more rulers, so I bought 4 or 5 of those. And I got my free embroidery stabilizer, that's what it's called. And they had 3 new feet. You know, don't you just, look at this. Last year for Christmas, I asked Santa Claus for this suitcase full of all ALL, the feet for the Solaris sewing machine. There's, I don't remember how many are in here, but it's supposedly all the feet. It just goes on and on. So I go to class yesterday, and guess what the class is about? It's about 3 new feet for the Solaris that aren't in here. What the heck? How many feet can somebody invent for a sewing machine? So I was kind of ticked. I thought, oh my God, my husband paid $400 for that thing. And now you're telling me that's not all the feet? The teacher's name at this class is Amy. She's always the teacher showing the demo or whatever. So she's showing the 3 new feet. They were all sold out. Before the class was over, every single one of them was sold out. So even if I decide I want them, I guess they're going to have to order them for me. But one of them was kind of cool. One of them was a new regular sewing foot that you sew all your stuff with 5/8 inch. And on the foot is a built-in sliding little plastic guide right on the foot. So you don't have to have anything next to, you know, stuck down or magnified down, you know, to hold it for a seam, for a measurement. The little measurement guide is right on the foot. So I think that was really cool. The other foot was a clear 1/4 inch sewing foot. Thought that was cool. What was the third one? I don't remember what. Oh, the third one. I don't care about the third one. Well, I don't think I care about the third one. You guys tell me, do I care about the third one? It's a thing Terry does. It's a thing Terry does, where you have this little strip of a whole stack of fabrics, but they're cut in little strips, and you sew that on something, and then you, chenille. It's a chenille foot. And then you cut down the center, and then you brush it, and you make everything all fluffy. I don't think I care about that, but that was the third foot. So, you seamstresses that are baby lock girls, I imagine they are for more than just the Solaris. Surely they're not just for the Solaris, but that just happens to be what I've got, okay? So that was club, and when we walked in, We weren't the first ones there, but we were close. And they had all the chairs set up, at least 50, maybe 60. And I told Mary, I said, I don't know about you, but I want to sit front row, center seat, so I can see the preacher's eyes. She said, okay, whatever you want. So that's where we sat. And so I just loved it. I'm going to let you go. Have a wonderful week ahead, and I'll be back soon. Bye for now.